Not even a severe thunderstorm warning is going to prevent me from making a video. So here I am. In this episode, we will take a look at how we can add a veneer texture on top of the table surface, how we can add a plywood layer-like material to the sides. We will do the same also with the lag. In this exercise, we will also take a look at another add-on, the Fredo Tools Through Paint, which is a really great tool to actually manipulate and rotate textures. We also will take a look at Photopea, which is somewhat like Photoshop in the cloud. We will make a visit at Sketchup Textures, where we can find and download textures. And obviously, we will also install Fredo tools from Sketchup. Okay, let's go. Very good. So let's start with this empty file. And this has basically the raw geometry, no textures in it. And the first thing what we have to do is install the needed texturing extensions. So we can go to Google, go to Sketchup, create your free account or log in. And then we will go to Plugin Store. And here we type in Fredo Tools, search for it. There it is. Let's go to more information. And here's a download button. Download it. And you will also see here under requirements, if you have not installed libfredo06 before, because Fredo creates a lot of other extensions too, we have to go to this page and then download this extension too. So when you did everything correctly, everything what we want to see is then on your Mac or PC have the libfredo06 and Fredo tools. Very good. So back in SketchUp, let's go to Extensions and Extension Manager. In the new version, it is under the Extensions window. Previously, it was, I think, actually under the Windows version. And then we go to here, click Install Extension. I have the libfredo actually installed, so I do not need to install this again. Here is actually now the Fredo tools. Open. Okay, very good. Now it got installed. Very nice. And then it will be here. There. Now I have Fredo tools. Very good. And we will use ThroughPaint, which is a very great tool to not only position a texture on geometry, but also UV unwrap our geometry correctly. Now we are ready to create our first material. So we will go to Window and Materials, and we create a new texture or new material based on what operating system you're on. And I will navigate to where I have downloaded Wood 1 and Wood 2. These two images, there's a download link inside the description. Download it and then unpack it onto your desktop. Very good. So for the size, width and height, I just go with whatever the software gives me there because I'm going to overwrite this later anyway. We're just only creating, in this case, kind of like a basic material slot. And I will call this wood veneer, for example. So later, when I search for materials, it's very easy to identify and find. Very nice. Good. Then I would like to apply this material to the top surface. I will select my object, double click. I can select this face. That's the one I would like to apply this one to. There we are. Very good. Now, when I actually rotate my view, there we can see there are some issues. For example, the length isn't correct. And also the width, yeah, it cuts off here a little bit awkward. So when we go back into edit mode, select this face, right click and then say texture and position. We have few tools here at our disposal to fix this. We can, for example, simply artificially scale up this image. So I do this rather here than specifying this inside the material slot, because this is more visually informative. And with this one here, I can squeeze it along this direction. And for example, create this type of a pattern. You see? So now it looks like multiple sheets of veneer are actually put next to each other. But everybody who really knows this type of surface finish will instantly see that something is wrong, because it's the typical lines or geometrical patterns when you make a veneer is kind of missing. So we need to fix this actually. So let's go to Chrome and then we go to Photopea. I show this one in the browser. Photopea, as I said, is something similar like Photoshop that just runs online. It's free to use. It's very basic, but for most of the basic texture needs we have, this is totally fine. This is related to or inspired by Photoshop. So essentially everything I show you here, the commands are the same like in Photoshop. So we'll make a new document. That's good. Or we can actually also go open. And then we just open the image. And there we are. And I will do the following first. I will go to image canvas size. I will increase the vertical height of this image by a lot and keep the first or the image located at the bottom. Okay, very good. So now I can go ahead and with the selection tool, click and drag me a nice selection. Maybe to here. So I try to have an even distance from here to there, there to there. So this looks actually really good. Then I can go to edit and copy. Very nice. Make a new folder, sorry, layer, hide the previous layer, edit and paste. There we are. Then I will paste one more time. You see it, put it to there. And now comes actually the interesting technique. You see this piece, we move upwards. And we can put it to there. But what I would like to have here is more a nice geometrical pattern that, for example, these edges, which are the same here, line up. So with this piece selected, we can go to Edit, Transform, and then say Flip Vertically. And you see how this got flipped. And when I move this one down very carefully, we can also use the arrow key actually to do this very like pixel by pixel. And now you can see how nicely actually we get a pattern there. We can zoom in a little bit more to make sure that we don't really have any empty slots or empty space. We do not. Very good. Now we can crop this image. Let's go to crop. And it's down up here. Go further down. When you hold the Alt or Option key, you can zoom in more because then the cropping actually works pixel by pixel, much more precise. Very good. Press Enter. There we are. Look at that. That actually looks really nice. We only need this way one time, because when we start tiling it, this edge will line up there in SketchUp. So we can download this one now. File, export, PNG. In general, I use PNG. I do not use JPEG because JPEGs have artifacts when we compress it. Images are smaller, but for what we do, PNGs is really the format we want to use. Then quality, yeah, save, very nice. So it actually put this one into my downloads folder, and I will call this one maybe wood veneer book match. That's kind of like the type of veneer pattern we see there. Then when we go back to SketchUp, I will actually, just to be sure, remove this material. You see I went into edit group and then drag this one onto there. This now I can remove. So for example, it's gone. Make a new texture. This time I will use book match. Also here, I don't really fuss there much with it. Drag this on, go then to right click position, and then maybe actually we should go into a top view. Then we can zoom in and position this really well there. So the dotted lines are outside, very good. Let's go to here, drag this one over. There, very nice. And I have one pattern. So now the next step to figure out is, do you put like the image onto that surface one time? Or maybe 2 times? There you see how I move this one till the dotted line is kind of like at that edge. And there we are. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty nice. That works very good. So this way, with a very simple modification of this image inside an image manipulation program, and then bringing this back using the built-in texturing command in SketchUp, we created a much more believable, interesting veneer look. In this design, I would like to see on those vertical faces here, actually the texture of plywood layers. On top is actually the veneer finish. We could also do this on the bottom, and on the legs we do the same on the left and the right, for example. So to get such a texture, we can go to Sketchup Textures. Again, this is not a very expensive website. It also has a free account, but when you are a paying member, you can actually download more higher resolution images, which is very good. So let's go to Textures, and then we can go to Materials. Do we see something here? Let's go to Architecture, for example. Wood is actually good. Takes a moment. And plywood. For example, this is actually a really nice texture here. If we want to have this type of a built material, but what we are looking for is the layer stuff. And here you see there are various examples. Let's use this one. There we are. And then you can download the free version. It's 1250 by 900 pixels. If you're a paying member, you get the bigger version. For our needs, this small version is actually perfectly fine. So when you download it, and then we unpack it, there you have the image. Very good. Okay, I put this one onto the desktop, and let's go back to SketchUp. So right click, new texture. Here's my plywood layer. This texture, by the way, is not included inside the download link, since you can get it directly from the website. For the width and the height, no, this actually should go onto this piece. And this is roughly an inch. So the height I specify this time to be 1 inch. And you see then the width is automatically updated. Very good. Okay, good. So then we go into edit mode. So double click the group, select those 2 faces. Yeah, this is all good, or areas, and then we drag this one onto it. Yeah, looks actually pretty good, you would say. And I would say, nah, not really. Let's zoom in a little bit. Oh, what's going on here? This is tiling way too much. Actually, when we go back to the website, they say here, this texture tiles seamless. So what does seamless mean? Well, essentially it means if we reach one end of the texture, it blends into the other end of the same texture. And when you take a look at these yellow and white lines, we don't see any hard lines or edges. But because there are these imperfections in there, they pop up as patterns. So yes, the texture is seamless, but we can see that it is tiled. It's just a very difficult task to do with a small image that is 1 by 1 inch to just fill this bigger area. So what do we do now? Well, we can actually artificially stretch this. With the wood veneer on top, we went right click position, and then we changed the scale here. What I will do here in this case, because we have this material created and its colors in model, if I double click and then say, hey, this I turn off, and the width maybe 10 inches and enter, you see I'm stretching this texture now. So this looks already much better. Yeah, we can still see here and here these slight problems, but they are not popping up as much. If we go back and then say 5 inches, here, for example, now we can see how this tiles. Okay, so 10. We can also go, if we want, 100 inches, then however the texture just becomes kind of like lines. No, we can do this too, but this will be way too clean. Maybe 20 inches. We want to have a little bit of variation in it. Okay, very good. Yeah, so that actually looked pretty good. Are there some problems left? Yes, they are actually. So SketchUp is very easy to learn. And some of the tools, for example, with the texturing, and when I click this one and go right click position, this tool is very old in SketchUp and I never further developed it because this idea and this tool, how this works, is flawless. It's perfect. But when we take a look at here where the surface is kind of arced, yeah, there we see that the simplicity of SketchUp hits its limits. So that is why we actually installed Fredo through Paint. And what we have to do is called, we need to UV unwrap this differently. What does UV unwrap mean? Think about when we actually go maybe to this view one more time, and I just turn this on. Think about X and Y, or U and V. So it's a two-dimensional coordinate system. On the flat surface, that's easy. And actually on a band like this, it's still pretty much an image. Think about like a piece of tape, which we then tape around. Okay. And this works pretty easy here because this rounded corner only bends around one direction. But down here, this is bending around 2 axes. So it's more complicated. So how do we fix this? So let's go to Tools, and then we go to Fredo Tools and through Paint. Now we would like to first select actually the material. Default material. Okay, you see now I used the eyedropper, clicked on it, and then actually it selected the correct material. Then here we have something called UV painting, and there the first one says quad mesh, and then follows the mesh with possible deformations, or here this says texturing continuity with no deformation. So this is the command we need because this is slightly deformed. But here, let's do this. I click and drag. You see how when I click and drag, these two elements get together. Let me do this one more time. So I just exit and undo. Okay, so I go Tools, Fredo Tools through Paint, and then I will select the material on my object, select the correct command for the painting or option, and then you see it selects the face on top and bottom, and I left mouse button click and drag. The green lines and the red line are actually X and Y or U and V directions, and then the yellow lines are the seam ends. Very good. Okay, so you can actually see how in this case now, when we zoom out a little bit, this looks actually pretty believable. It's still not 100% perfect, but the texture flows much better. After I did this painting, basically with this, I UV unwrapped it. So what's unwrapping? Again, think about you have a cardboard box and you cut open all the seams and then you make the cardboard box flat. And then you can, on this template, put images on, and then you fold the cardboard box back together into a three-dimensional form. That is what UV unwrapping does. And when I click on a face now, you see then we get this transformation command. It's actually pretty nice. So this is scaling along X and or along U and V, and then here we have rotation. So you see how I can rotate this. I also have a uniform scaling. So if I want to scale along each, maybe I would like to make this in general a little bit bigger. So I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 layers of veneer, not veneer, of bent plywood or plywood material, and then I can move this one a little bit up or down. So what I'm trying to do is have a white line on top and a white line on bottom. So this is then the left and right and up down button. Yeah, again, this is actually something in SketchUp with this through paint or paint through extension. That's really well done, and you need to have this tool to do texturing correctly. Very good. Okay, let's rotate around. Do we see anything properly? First, you will say, hey, it looks all good. And oh, what's going on here? There was a break. So, okay, good. Let's see what the break is. This is in my model. I'm not sure if this will be in your model too, but I'm glad actually I have this issue because I can show you how we can fix this. So when I go onto these edges, you see it when I have this turned on. So this one, it's red, and then it says more than 4 edges. This is good. And here it says quad mesh, more than 4 edges. Okay, so what does this mean? Let me exit this, go to the object, the group, double click, click on an edge, zoom out, and oh, look at that. You see only this edge is selected. To maybe make the visibility a tick easier, we could go to wireframe. And there you see all these edges are broken, but not here. See, these are single edges. That is really what we want to have. So what can we actually do to fix this? This is very, very easy. And let's go back to shaded with texture. I will select these edges here too, and here too. And I will delete those. Very good. No worries. And then from the endpoint to the endpoint, I draw a line. Be careful, like here, that is really the endpoint. Also here we can read endpoint, but this is the endpoint we want to work with. There. So SketchUp also put the top and bottom faces or geometry back in. Unfortunately here this got lost. Yeah, not a big deal. Okay. Position this here. We say this comes in one more time. Bring this over, stretch this nicely. There we are. So here we have to redo this. We go to tools, Fredo through paint, select the correct material. We are in the UV painting and oh, look at that. Zack, you see there it is fixed. Yeah, very good. Okay, very nice. Yeah. So that's then the way how we can actually make a material. In this case, we used a plywood layer material and make it flow over various edges. Here is still a little bit of a seam. This is all okay. From a distance, we don't really see this, so this is good enough for what we have to do in SketchUp. Now I would like to do the same also with actually the legs. So I have these rounded corners here, there and there too, and then I have these flat sides. So the flat sides I would like to be having this material. Okay, good. Yeah, that looks fine. And then on here, I would like to have my plywood. Okay, very good. That actually worked out well. What about here? Yeah, so there you can see it all goes into different directions, and then there the distortion is pretty bad. Here we also have a little bit of wavy stuff, so we need to use the through paint here. Very good. So let's see, can we use this one? Looks so actually. It's not really much of a distortion. We can rotate this. There we are. Oh, yeah, we have to rotate this correctly. Let's purge all in this model. Nope. Let's just undo it. Okay, so let's go back. I rotated it a little bit, but then it didn't really give me the, how could I say that? A snapping for the rotation. So I didn't really know how much I rotated. So it's always easier than to just undo and redo. There, 90 degrees. Yeah, but this is not really great. So let's go to this and then we paint, click and drag, and whoa, so beautiful. It's slightly rotated. So maybe I want the snapping to not be so much in my way. You saw that when you zoom in and then you do a small rotation right at this point, you snap very quickly and you go in big steps. If you move your mouse further away, it's actually easier than to rotate. You see, it doesn't really snap this way. And what I was looking for is making the lines on my texture parallel with the lines of my geometry. Yeah, that looks actually pretty good. And we can go to here and the same. So quad mesh with distortion, and then I will simply paint over all. Left mouse button, click, drag, and then release the mouse. Yeah, and there we are. Look at that. This looks beautiful. Now it's up to us. How do we want the veneer here at the sides, horizontal or vertical? I will double click into the object, select the face, position, and all I will do is do a rotation. And then I will bring this one down to maybe a point down here. And then rotate this so the veneer seems to flow a little bit more actually with these edges. That looks pretty good. And then I can do the same on the other side. So edit the group, click the face, position, bring this down to here, and then rotate this. I want to keep the scale so that it looks similar to the top. There we are. Very good. Also rotate it more so the lines have a nice flow. Very good. I didn't texture the inside. I could do this now if I want to. We wouldn't really see it. This would be one of these tasks for you can do if you have to, but honestly, it doesn't really make any sense when we don't really see this. So this is, yeah, I can rotate it, but you see this, because of the size of this texture, this is actually rather confusing to use. So instead of using there the built-in one, I go here with the Fredo one there, and then rotate it. Oh, that's interesting. Why did this actually not work? Okay, let's do this one more time. I removed the material. Then go through paint. I have the correct plywood material selected. Okay, I needed to paint the texture too. There we are. Very good. Let's see, we can be a little bit picky if we want to. Maybe make this a tick bigger. Drag this over. You see, I'm trying to line up these lines. Yeah. Okay, it's not perfect. Good enough for what we tried to do here. Very nice. You also see that these, they do not have the texture because again, in this model, all these parts are actually just groups. They're not components. So I could turn this into a component and then replace each of these legs with a component. So when I go in and adjust something with this leg, also the other legs would be adjusted. So let's quickly do this. I will right click and then say make component. You can call this leg. Very nice. Then I will, what's now maybe the easiest way, go to maybe this bottom view and rotate, maybe click on the midpoint here, press the plus, and not the plus, the Option or Alt key, click and then drag here 90 degrees. Very good. And then this one, I move away. I try to find a midpoint here again. There it is. And position it there. Okay. Now you see that these two are occupying the same space. So I will hide the piece which I moved over. So I can select the old one and delete it, and then I unhide all. There we are. I can select also this one, copy, so move and then Alt Option key and bring this one simply over to there. I'm just doing this in different ways. So I deleted the one, select this one. This is the perpendicular piece. So, and then this has to be rotated 90 degrees. There. Fits in perfect too. It's always very good in general to know how to do, no, not how to do, how to get to the same end result, just with a different set of commands. Yeah. There we are. Very good. Beautiful. That's it.